Hello and welcome to ECO 201 Macroeconomics. My name is Sean Bokelman and I will be your instructor for the course. As I'm sure you're all aware, the current events are forcing all of us to make some changes. And while you were probably expecting to learn in a classroom, we must proceed, for now at least, in an online format. I don't anticipate this transition being too difficult, as most of us are comfortable with current technology and interacting digitally. But if you do find it difficult to learn in a digital environment, please do not hesitate to contact myself or any other of the team members here at Georgia Military College, Fayetteville. For this module's lecture series, we will begin by reviewing the course syllabus, and then we will move on to learning material covered both in Chapter 1 as well as material from Appendix A of your textbook. All right, so taking a look at the syllabus here, again, my name is Professor Sean Bokelman. You can reach me in one of two ways. You can either email me at my Georgia Military College email address, sbokelman@gmc.edu, or you can text me for a more rapid response at my cell phone number, 678-779-2211. Please only text me. If you'd like to talk, go ahead and mention that in your text to me, along with your name and which class you're in. And I will then either give you a call back or text you back and let you know what the deal is. If you call me, I won't have your number in my contacts, and I screen my calls, so I won't answer your phone call. So go ahead and text me first, okay? Keep in mind that this syllabus is a general outline for the course, and it's subject to change, especially given the current circumstances. As far as prerequisites go, you should have completed MAT 94 or higher with a grade of C or better. And the reason for this is that you do need to have an understanding of basic algebra, as well as how to read and interpret graphs and tables. So if you haven't had that coursework, you should probably not be taking this class, and you may want to withdraw until you do have that content covered. This is a course worth 5 quarter hours that may be important to you, so there's that information. As far as the course description goes, this is an introduction to the theory of microeconomics, and we learn the concepts in this course through production and distribution of goods within a market economy, and we look at particular different types of market conditions, including pure competition, imperfect competition, and monopoly. So we will learn about what those things are as we go through the course. As far as your learning objectives, if you are successful in this course, you will be able to demonstrate basic elements and concepts of microeconomics. That includes marginal thinking, which we will talk about what that means. It'll include understanding optimal decision making, both for the consumer and for firms. So you should be able to demonstrate those basic concepts if you're successful in this class. You should be able to identify certain economic resources and their uses, and you should be able to differentiate between production under different types of business structure or market structure, including pure competition, monopoly, oligopoly, and monopolistic competition. Looks like that maybe got cut off there on the syllabus there on the third point. Monopolistic competition is that last one. I'll go ahead and fix that and post an updated syllabus to Moodle. As far as course content goes, we will start with an introduction to economics broadly defined. So that includes both macro and micro concepts that apply to both. We will then move on to supply and demand model and learn about how consumer choice determines demand. We will then move on to talk about production, costs of inputs, price and output determination for firms under the 4 different types of market models or market scenarios. We'll talk about, to some extent, factor markets. We'll also, towards the end of the term, talk about market failure and public choice. To some extent, we will talk about the global economy and international trade. And a common theme throughout the entire course is the use of critical thinking, as well as ethical issues related to economics and competition. So that's sort of the broad outline for the course. You will need the textbook Economics Today by Roger Leroy Miller, 18th edition. You should be able to pick this up at the campus bookstore. Please do that as soon as you can if you haven't already. You will need it. It will be a useful resource. As far as instruction of this class goes, at least for the time being, it will be taught primarily through online video lectures like the one you're watching now. And those video lectures will be supported by PowerPoint slides, which are available to you on Moodle, as well as online student discussion in the discussion forums. So I'll talk about those more in a second, but those will basically be how you are tracked for attendance in this course, but it'll also be a part of your grade, as we'll talk about in just one second. The video lectures will be available the day before the lecture is scheduled so that you can get a head start and start looking at these videos. You're not required to watch them at our scheduled time. You can watch them at your leisure, but do be aware that you will have assignments due, that you will want to watch these video lectures ahead of time so that you have an understanding of the material so that you can complete the assignments. Okay, so I'll talk about those more in a second here. But as far as course assessment goes, participation is 10% of your grade, and this will be primarily through discussion forums on Moodle. Homework is 15% of your grade, and I'll talk more about those in a second. Quizzes are also 15% of your grade. Midterm exams, of which there will be 3. Those are also each 15% of your grade for a total of 45%. And the final exam is 15% of your grade, and that will be cumulative. So it will cover all material throughout the entirety of the course. And that takes place or will be due on May 21st. And then there's the letter grade distribution there. So an A is 90 to 100, B is 80 to 89, and so on. Now, for some more detail on each of these components of your grade, participation, again, is 10%. And in order for you to be successful, especially in this online environment, you really need to actively participate in the discussion forums for each module or chapter. And in addition, this will also count as your attendance. So make sure that you are actively engaging in discussion through those forums. And I will be posting discussion questions to help facilitate and spark those discussions. So just keep a lookout for those. As far as homeworks, so the way that homeworks will work is that they will be due the day that we are scheduled to cover the material, and they will be due at 11:59 p.m., so just before midnight. Now, the nice thing about the homeworks is you have unlimited attempts on the homework. So you can basically do it over and over and over again until you're satisfied with your grade. And basically what this means is this is a way for you to pad your grade, right? You can basically guarantee yourself 100% on your homework grade, or nearly 100%, because they are unlimited attempts. So make sure that you do your best to guarantee yourself that 15%, because the rest of the graded assignments will not be so easy. Okay. So here's a way to pad your grade is with the homework, as well as the participation too. So you can basically guarantee yourself 25% of your grade with between participation and homework. So do yourself a favor and do that. Now, quizzes will look very similar to homeworks. They're basically the same format. The only major difference is that you only have one attempt and they are timed at 40 minutes. So once you start the quiz, you have 40 minutes to complete it and you only have one attempt. So before you start a quiz, make sure you're very familiar with the material. Otherwise, you're going to end up doing poorly on the quizzes. Okay. The midterm exams, at least for the time being, are going to be administered online, and they will cover the material of the three previous class meetings. That might not be 100% right, but in any case, there will be 3 modules per exam. That is true for sure. And each exam will be 50 multiple choice questions, each with 4 answer choices. Now, as I mentioned, this material can be pretty tough. And so I give you guys a little bit of a gift, if you will. I allow you to drop your lowest exam grade and replace it with your final exam grade if you do better on the final. And the idea behind that is that sort of a redemption thing, right? If you redeem yourself, you do poorly on an exam, but you, through the rest of the term, catch up in the understanding of that material and you prove yourself on the final, then I reward you for doing better on the final by replacing your lowest exam grade. Now, if you do worse on your final than you do your lowest exam grade, I don't replace that. That would be a penalty, which I'm not going to penalize you guys like that. So don't worry about that. This policy is only going to benefit you. It will not hurt you in any way. Now, as far as the final exam goes, there's a good chance it will also be administered online unless we are able to come back together in a classroom setting. But it will be approximately 33% material that is not covered on any of the midterm exams that we cover after exam 3. And then the rest, the remaining 2/3 or 66% will be material that we've covered on previous exams. It will be 100 multiple choice questions, again, with 4 answer choices each. Now, as far as grade reviews go, you have to initiate those with a faculty member, myself, or division chair or assistant dean within 30 days at the end of the grading period in which the grade was reported. So just be aware of that. Now, if any of you need accommodation or assistance based on the impact of a disability, you need to contact our student disability coordinator, who is also our academic dean, Dr. Pomoja. You can go talk to him in person in room 101, although I recommend reaching out through telephone by giving him a call at that number listed there. Now, as far as administrative procedures, completion of the drop add process and withdrawal process is your responsibility, so be aware of that. On top of that, a maximum of 3 absences is allowed before you are withdrawn from the class. If you are absent 4 times or more, you will be withdrawn and you will no longer be able to participate in the course. Now, as far as makeup opportunities, since there's ample time for you to complete all assignments at your convenience, there will be no makeup opportunities for missed homework, quizzes, or exams. All right. Now, as far as ethics are concerned, of course, ethics are very important to us here at Georgia Military College. So we will be talking about ethics in the course of learning the material. And in addition to that, you need to adhere to the GMC Honor Code, which, of course, is I will neither lie, cheat, steal, or tolerate those who do. Okay, so now this is particularly important given that this is on an online class and most of your assignments, pretty much all of your assignments will be due online, turned in online, so I can't monitor you while you're taking quizzes or exams. So you need to adhere to this on your own and be an upstanding person and not cheat. Okay, so please do that. Here's the tentative schedule for the term. We will begin basically tomorrow, March 19th, with the syllabus, which is actually what we're going over right now. And then we will continue into material in Chapter 1 as well as Appendix A. So I'll go ahead and add that to the syllabus here. It includes Appendix A, which is the review of basic algebra and how to read and interpret graphs. Actually, I don't think it covers algebra, just the reading and interpreting graphs part. But we will go over that in case you need that review. Followed by that, we will cover Chapter 2, which has to do with scarcity and trade-offs. Now, take note here that in the rightmost column are the assignments for each module, rather the assignments that are due on that date. So, for example, Chapter 1's homework number 1, will be due by midnight, Tuesday, March 19th, okay? Thursday, March 19th, sorry, Thursday. Then the following module is scheduled for Tuesday, March 24th. And on that day, you will have to turn in Chapter 2's homework as well as the quiz for Chapter 1. Okay, so that's generally how it's going to work here for these graded assignments. All right, after March 24th and Chapter 2, we will move on to Chapter 3, which is the basic demand and supply schedule. Now, these first 3 modules or class meetings are what will be covered on Exam 1. So just be aware of that. But I give you some time to study for it. So our next meeting will be Chapter 4, but that won't be on the exam. That'll be on the next exam, Exam 2. The following meeting, we will have Exam 3. There will be no videos, no homeworks or quizzes due. All you have to worry about on April 2nd is completing Exam 1 by midnight, okay? Which again covers Chapters 1 through 3. Then we'll move on to some extensions of our supply and demand model, particularly what's called elasticity. And then we will look at consumer choice, so focusing in on consumers. And this is actually where the demand curve of our supply and demand model comes from, is from the theory on consumer choice. Now, Chapter 20 is the end of what is covered on Exam 2. So Chapters 4, 19, and 20 will be on Exam 2. But before we get the Exam 2, we will start looking at the theory of firms. So profit, cost, and output determination. So that will be part of Chapter 21, particularly Section 2, as well as all of Chapter 22. We'll then have our second exam, which again covers Chapters 4, 19, and 20. And then we'll move on to our first type of market organization or firm structure, which is perfect competition. And then we'll look at monopoly in Chapter 24. Moving on to Chapter 25 with sort of an intermediate type of market structure, which is monopolistic competition. So this is close to perfectly competitive, but slightly different, not perfectly competitive, but the first of our, well, I shouldn't say the first. Monopoly is the first imperfect market, but sort of the first of our intermediate imperfect markets is monopolistic competition. We will then have Exam 3, which covers Chapters 21.2, 22, 23, and 24. After that, we'll look at oligopoly and strategic behavior. So a firm structure or market structure that's closer to monopoly. It's when there's only a few, like a handful of firms. So there's really not much competition at all, but it's not a monopoly because there are more than one firm. So that has some interesting aspects to it, that type of market structure. And then we will wrap up the course looking at public spending and public choice, which has to do with these market imperfections and when the government might want to get involved and sort of provide some of these things. So, and then after that, we will have a day to review for the final. So Tuesday, May 19th, there won't be any video lectures, but this will be your opportunity to use a discussion forum to help yourself and other students in the class prepare for the final, as well as reach out to me for any particular questions you might have. And then, of course, like I said, on May 21st is the final exam, which is cumulative. All right, so this concludes the syllabus portion of the lecture series for Chapter 1. I'll see you in the next video for Chapter 1, Section 1.